number 1 versus number 2, Ohio State and Texas. A rematch of the college football playoff semifinals just a season ago, and we get the treat of watching the Longhorns travel up to Columbus to take on what seems like a brand new roster, but still an insanely loaded team. Texas also replacing some pieces on both sides of the football. New quarterbacks on both sides. Boy, this is going to be a premier game this weekend. And to be honest, I kind of know the side that I'm leaning to already, but you got to believe both of these teams are going to be in the playoffs by the end of the year, right?
Yeah, that's the expectation, the standard that's set at these two programs, especially with the talent on these rosters. The interesting thing about this game is it's 1 versus 2. It's the reigning national champion at home, but there's so many questions about each of these rosters. We've done our in-depth breakdown of both of these teams, so check those out if you're interested in learning more about how we feel about their season outlooks. But in terms of this game, the Texas and the Ohio State that we see in November and December, I have a feeling will look a lot different than the one we see out here on Saturday. So it's going to be tough to draw a lot of conclusions. That's why, I'll just come out and say it. I feel more comfortable with Texas here, even going on the road. I like that they're guys in the trenches that they have to replace that are replacing, first round picks and et cetera. And other guys, they've gotten experience and they've played on big stages. We know what they can do, and the staffs feel pretty good about that. And it's backing up in fall camp. And also, I think too, the quarterback edge here, I think has to go to Texas. Now, at the end of the year, it could be something different. It could be something different on Saturday. Sayan could just come out and absolutely ball out. But with Arch Manning, what he's done in big time moments, the experience he got last year when Quinn Ewers was hurt, putting him in against, in 4th down or on other big plays against Texas A&M, that helps, man. That helps. And it's going to be his first, massive road start, which I think will be interesting. But he's also Arch Manning. Like, I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him. He's been in the moment since he was 16 years old, right? So it's going to be an exciting game there. That's what I'm looking at there in terms of my edge. What about you?
I'm with you. I definitely, I'll be on the side of Texas, and I'll take them to win as well. But I just look at Texas, and I don't see a single hole. Now, you could say the same thing about Ohio State from a talent perspective, but from a proven production standpoint, I'm looking at the side, on Texas, and I'm like, okay, that offensive line is pretty much almost entirely proven, right? And some of these Ohio State players, what's funny about Texas and Ohio State is like they both had, first round offensive linemen go right to the draft. But you also have linemen starting for both these teams in these games that played in place of those first round draft picks. So I do think that I'm a little bit more comfortable with Texas's offensive line than I am with Ohio State's offensive line, given that they do have to replace a little bit more. I think Texas, their linebacking core is nuts. I mean, I have just no questions about this Texas team. And Ohio State, as talented as it is, like you do look at the quarterback spot, and yeah, it's a little bit more of a question than what Texas has at that spot. The offensive line, it's a little bit more of a question than what Texas has at their spot. On the defensive line, I think you could argue either way, but I'm a little bit more comfortable with Texas's defensive line today. Probably will not be saying that by the end of the season, but week 1, I'm a little bit more comfortable with what I'm seeing on the side of the Longhorns. So I think the real position that Ohio State has a legitimate, true advantage at is the wide receiver position, and even so, Texas has some really good wide receivers. So like, not
And
really
defensive
sweating that too
backs.
much. Yeah, probably. But
Yeah,
Texas has some stellar defensive backs too, man. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
Texas has the really good defensive backs to go up against Ohio State's receivers.
okay. Yeah, I thought you were saying like you were given a positional edge. I give some of those defensive backs an edge over some of those Texas defensive backs, but I I just like Texas a little more. I'm just more comfortable with them, so I'll take the 2.5 points, and I'll take them to win as well.
So I want to ask you this year. What I like to do is go down sometimes in these big games. You'll see stars just play big time, right? Just take over games or win on third down, whatever it may be, right? I think the two best players in this game and probably the country, it's probably Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. Is that crazy to
Yes.
say?
No, that's not crazy.
3, 4, and 5 probably are on Texas's roster, right? Anthony Hill, Colin Simmons,
He's up there.
and yeah,
I mean,
man, I
that's
don't
probably what you're
know.
looking at.
That's the thing is there's
But I
so
mean, the
much.
top 50 players in college football, though. I mean, Wisner's probably top 50 player. Jack Endry's probably top 100, 150 player in college football. A lot of these offensive linemen on Texas' side probably top 100 players as well.
Couple
I mean,
defensive backs, probably like Malik Muhammad, Derek Williams, probably have a shot there. Like I think my point is like 3 through 10. I think you're going to see a couple more Texas players than you would Ohio State, and that could ultimately be the difference. You brought up a good point though with that wide receiver room of Texas. That's what I want to see too. Is like I like Emmett Mosley, borderline really like him.
love.
We know how you like DeAndre Moore and what he did last year. Ryan Wingo, we feel pretty good about him, in his talent, right? And what he showed last year in flashes. Like, who's going to emerge as like the guy in this room? Do they have multiple guys? What about the freshmen? Like, how much run does French or McCutcheon get, or Lockett, or Terry? Like, all these, like, what are we seeing in that rotation? That'll be an interesting thing I would like to glean from this because it's going to be a pretty darn good litmus test for them, especially early in the season.